Yo guys, what is going on? Coming at you today with a BT5 kind of profile and gameplay video. I'm looking at Diaboromon Black. For this set, this is one of the most highly anticipated decks, and I think it is a lot of fun. I've been trying it out a bunch online, and the way I've built this deck, because those of you who are in the know, you'll know that Diaboromon is a notoriously going to be most likely a very expensive deck because of all of the promo cards. You've got like the security attack +1 Diaboromon, and you got the Caramon, and you know, like his basically his whole evolution line. There's a bunch of promo cards for them which are arguably necessary, but the way I built this deck is a quote-unquote more budget version, just because I'm not including any of those because I know they are hard to get. Now keep in mind, this is recorded before the release of Battle of Omni, so I don't really know what the prices on these two guys are going to be because they are also very essential for the deck. However, they are only super rares. Actually, this guy is this guy's a rare. I'm just now noticing that. So I don't think they'll be too bank breaking. So anyways, guys, let's go ahead and get into the profile, and then we'll get into some gameplay as well. So for the eggs, I'm just playing 4 of the BT2 Tsunamon. This guy gives you a +2000 if you have another Diaboromon on the field. It says Digimon with the same name, but basically your goal here is to get out a bunch of Diaboromons or Diaboromon tokens. So basically cloning himself and gaining advantage off of that. So I think that +2000 is much more relevant in this case. There's the other Tsunamon that lets you trigger draw one if once per turn when attacking, if this Digimon has unidentified in its type, which is very solid. However, the Caramon here that I am playing already lets you draw cards, so I don't think it's extremely necessary to include like 4 copies of this. I'd rather have the DP boosting, especially because BT2 Diaboromon is only 10,000 DP. If you get another token via his effect, he goes up to 12,000, so I think that is pretty solid. So that's why I'm choosing that egg over the newer one. And then as far as the other rookies, just playing Caramon, of course, like I said, Toy Agumon, I think Reboot is a good inherited effect, but I'm not really sure. I think this could be like basically any black rookie, so maybe if you want to throw in Chumon for like the yellow and blue matchup, that might be solid as well, and then just including a couple of 2-drop rookies as well. But the main guy you want to include here is the new BT5 Caramon. This guy is just so powerful because he's a potential +2. He fixes your hands and fetches you the tools you need to combo off. So basically on play, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck and add a Digimon with unidentified in its type, which is essentially every single card in this deck, every Diaboromon support card, as well as the new security blocker Shademon. So it's nice that you can kind of indirectly search this blocker as well on that, and then as well as that, you also get to add in Arata Sanada from your from those revealed cards to your hand, and then that adding that tamer lets you play him for free with the new Kurisarimon as well. So that's a really nice combo, set up with the searching with him, and then go into Kurisarimon and play your Arata from hand for free. So that's really nice. This guy's really good. And then the other Kurisarimon is also extremely good because this guy gives you, during your turn, 1 memory every single time you play another, like, basically a Diaboromon token. Now, keep in mind, that's not once per turn, so you can actually trigger this many times in a single turn. For example, one combo could be, like, if you have, like, your ultimates ready to go, maybe an Infamon here, you have, as well as that, you have, like, a Diaboromon here, and you're going to go, have Arata on the field. What you can do is Digivolve into your Diaboromon, use his effect, spawn a token, gain 1 memory off that, because you get to choose the effect resolution order, and then suspend your Arata, and then get another token, and then gain another memory off that. So that's a really cool combo that you can do with that. And then so that's the champions, and then the ultimates is just the BT2 Infamon. So BT2 basically has like everything you'll need for this deck except for the new stuff. So this guy lets you reduce the cost of Diaboromon in your hand. So being able to Digivolve this guy for 3 is really nice, and Digivolving this guy for 2 is awesome as well. And then the new one lets you actually just warp straight to Infamon. Hence why I'm playing like kind of a lower count of champions. I guess I'm playing 11, so maybe that's a little bit standard. But only 3 of the blocker, just because you can warp straight to ultimate from his effect. And then on deletion, you get to play a Diaboromon token, so that's awesome as well. I already talked about this guy And then these guys, just token spawning is just what this deck wants to do. And then, you know, the Kurisarimon can also give them rush, so that's really nice. And then just gaining advantage off that. Also just want to copy a Blitz Flame on as, like, another, like, supplementary level 6. You could definitely play, like, 3 of the BT2 Diaboromon, or maybe if you want to play, like, I don't know, like Garurumon, or, like, the new reboot Black Metal Garurumon. Basically just a filler spot here for the level 6s. And then I'm playing 4 copies of Armageddonmon now. I think 4 is pretty decent, just because while you might think it'll be bricky, you're not evolving this guy like ever. Like, if you're evolving this guy, I don't know. I've never seen anyone do it. So the whole point of him is to not actually use your regular Diaboromon here to you know, go into him. What you want to do is spawn a bunch of tokens and delete one of the tokens to meet the condition of reducing Armageddonmon's cost by 12. So playing him for 3 is really crazy because he does have rush. So you can just throw him down for 3, delete a token that you weren't probably going to use anyways. Then you have a 15,000 dude who has rush on the field, and you can just go to town from there. And then also all level 7 Digimon do not activate there when Digivolving effect. So shuts off BT1 Omnimon, shuts off the new Omnimon, shuts off Omnimon Zwart, Chaosmon Valdron, basically every other level 7 in the game. So he's a really nice counter to that. Also playing a couple of copies of Catastrophe Cannon, because it's basically like a mini Infinity Cannon. You know, Digivolves by 2 instead of 4. But then you also, if you do have a Diaboromon to play, get to play a Diaboromon token for free. So that's really nice. And then of course the man himself. The only tamer I'm playing this deck is 4 copies of Arata Sanada. I was playing Izzy in some previous lists. I think Izzy's pretty good, but a lot of this deck is white, so you're never going to get like the +1 memory, or maybe you might occasionally, but it's unlikely to happen all the time. Other black tamers, you could play Tai, but again, like Diaboromon is not black, so he doesn't really synergize with the existing like black memory tamers. He isn't a memory tamer in the sense that he doesn't start you at 3, but if you do have an unidentified in your trash, you just gain 1 memory at the start. And then of course, whenever you digivolve into Diaboromon, you can suspend him to spawn another token, so that's really nice. So anyways guys, that is going to be the list. Kinda, I think it works out pretty well, so as far as like the budget, kind of quote-unquote budget version goes, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and get into some gameplay. Alright, so the first game I'm going to play against Wargreymon Yellow, which is still a very prominent yellow deck in the BT5 format, but you'll see my hand at the bottom there. I started out pretty good, so I went ahead and Digivolved into the Caramon, as well as the BT2 Kurisarimon, so I'm set up for the Diaboromon that I just drew into. So if I do end up going into him, spawning some tokens, I'll be able to draw a card, gain a memory, and then gain the 2000 DP from the Tsumemon there. So then my opponent does have the Starmons. Oh boy, if you guys don't know, Starmons is one of the newer rookies coming out of BT5, and he is just an absolute game changer. Probably the reason, one of the reasons that Yellow is just such a strong color. So then you'll see there, he went ahead and Digivolved into the Pedomon, and then ended up with the Wargreymon. So I know if I bring out my Kurisarimon prematurely, he'll probably get killed. He could go into like a /Angemon afterwards, so that might be like, you know, you might reduce it by 4,000 and another 8,000 afterwards, or it could just go ahead and go into Wargreymon later on. But so I'm just going to keep him in the breeding area, play the Commandramon for 2 to try to get some dudes on field, so maybe I can bait him out into using his Wargreymon, because I don't really care if the Commandramon dies. And then I just Digivolve the Infamon in the breeding area. That Infamon is really good because he actually reduces the cost of Digivolving into Diaboromon by 1, making the new Diaboromon a 2 cost, and then the old one a 3 cost. So then you'll see my opponent's just going to go ahead and go into yellow Wargreymon there. So he's not going to get full value because I don't have anything on field, but he will be able to attack multiple times. Unfortunately for him, Armageddonmon just stacks my security so powerfully, and 15,000 DP is just too much for that deck to get around, so his Wargreymon is going to die with that. And with that, I'm in a pretty good situation, right? My opponent's got, well, just 1 Digimon on field, and I've got an ultimate coming out of the breeding area, and then I've got my Playmaker in the form of Diaboromon in my hand. So I'm just going to bring out my Infamon, Digivolve my Diaboromon for 2. It should be 2, but I actually just forgot that I had the Infamon, even though I just told you about that, guys. But anyways, so I should be a 3 memory. but regardless, so even with me misplaying, you'll see that this play is still pretty good. I'll be able to go ahead, just Digivolve Diaboromon, get a token, draw a card, and gain a memory. And then because I have a token on field, now I'm not really worried about Diaboromon dying to security because he is actually 13,000, so it's quite big. And then with that, I'm just going to end things off by playing the new BT5 Caramon, who lets me reveal the top 5 cards of my deck, add an unidentified Digimon as well as an Arata Sanada to my hand. Unfortunately, no Arata there, but I did get the Diaboromon for the following turns. I also do have the BT5 Infernmon in hand, so if the opportunity is given to me, I can just go ahead straight warp into him without even having to go through the champion level. But anyways, my opponent is going to start building up in the breeding area again, so he goes Bushi Agumon on top of the Upamon there, and then Terurimon as well, leaving him with 0 memory. And finally, he's going to round things off with Andromon, but he decided to Digivolve the Andromon on the existing Gatomon. That way he can make full use of her when Digivolving effect, giving my Diaboromon minus security attack 2 for the turn. So I can definitely swing at security, but there's no point because I won't be checking any cards, but that's no big deal. So I'm just going to go ahead Digivolve Kurisarimon for 2, and wouldn't you know it, now I have an Arata in my hand, so then I'm just going to go ahead and play him for free since I didn't already have one. And he says at the start of my turn, if there's an unidentified Digimon in my trash, which there is, you see the Armageddon there, I'll gain a memory at the start of the turn. Not only that, but if I Digivolve into Diaboromon, I can just suspend him to actually gain one token, like the spawn a token essentially. So I was debating here which way I should do things because I know he's playing War Greymon. Infernmon is unfortunately only 6,000 DP, plus he's got the Gatomon as well, so even if it wasn't, I would still end up dying to that. I don't want to commit to the Infernmon just yet because if he goes War Greymon, he'll be able to get rid of my Infernmon, and then if he has something like a Valdararm, that will just add insult to injury, and I will be in a very, very difficult position. So I decided to just go Kurisarimon in the breeding area, just memory lock my opponent, Digivolve him for 2, and even though I don't get his 1 Digivolving effect, it's fine because his Inherited is still quite solid. It gives all my Diaboromon tokens the Rush ability, meaning they can attack as soon as they are played, so that is quite crazy. So it doesn't matter to me, I'm just going to build up in the back, but my opponent is going to activate Blinding Ray, putting himself only at 2 security, so if he doesn't get rid of some of my Digimon, he will probably burn himself out this turn. So he's going to go to 3 memory, and he is actually going to go Slash Angemon and not War Greymon. So Slash Angemon is a reduction for 8,000. He's going to delete my Kurisarimon. No Patamon for him, so he's not going to be able to gain any memory off of that, but he is just going to swing at security for an 8,000 DP, and then also he is going to spawn a level 3 yellow Digimon for free because of the Andromon there, since his security is 3 or less, and then Starmon will reduce the token by 3,000, getting rid of it completely, and then he's going to Digivolve into a blocker. So quite the explosive turn there. He was able to put off losing and put himself in a pretty decent position. Unfortunately for him, I am going to start my turn with 3 memory, and I do have the Diaboromon on field. So then I'm going to bring out my Kurisarimon, and I think I can just go straight into Infernmon and probably another copy of BT5 Diaboromon. The reason I'm thinking that is because I do have exactly 3 memory, so I'll have to pass turn, but I will also be able to spawn multiple tokens. So first, I'm going to go ahead and just attack at his Slash Angemon. He will block, which leads me to believe he might have a Valdararm in hand, or maybe he's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why else you'd block. But anyway, so I'm just going to go Infernmon on top of my champion there for 3. I did draw into the Catastrophe Cannon as well, which for a 4 cost lets you de-Digivolve something by 2 stages, and then you also get to play Diaboromon token, but I already know I'm going to get tokens anyway, so I'm going to use Diaboromon's effect, generate a token, and then I'm going to be able to, draw 1 and then gain 1 memory off of my inherited effects, and then I'm going to suspend Arata there to gain another token and repeat the same process. Yes, neither of those effects are once per turn, and you get to choose the order of resolution, so I can trigger those multiple times. Putting my opponent at 1 memory is pretty sweet because he doesn't have a TK on field, so I know he's not going to be able to do much unless he does have the Blinding Ray, but at that point he's he's putting himself only at 3, and he's putting himself at 1 security, so I will definitely be able to game him the following turn. So he's just going to Digivolve the Patamon, and then pass turn by Digivolving BT3 Andromon once again, reducing my Diaboromon security attack by 2. So again, one of those Diaboromon will not check any security, but it does not matter because I do have 3 other attackers on field. So I'm just going to swing with Diaboromon number 1. Run into a Wargrowlmon security, swing with Diaboromon number 2, run into a Patamon, and then just swing with the third one for game. So guys, that will be game 1. Game 2 is actually going to be against a different deck. I was just curious how this deck might do in different matchups, so I decided to play against a green deck, as you will see here in a little bit. But I just started my turn by Digivolving Commandramon and playing the Caramon there, going +2 because I get the Tamer as well as the Kurisarimon, so then I can go Kurisari and then play Arata for free, so that will be really nice. So that's going to be awesome. +2 on my first turn is pretty solid to me. So then my opponent is going to start to hatch the Yokomon, leading me to believe he's playing some sort of Rafflesiamon stun deck, which I think will be very prominent in BT5, especially because you've got more supporter cards, things like Weedmon there, who can, when Digibursted, gain 1 memory. Then you got Promo Palmon, when Digibursted, gain jamming. So just lots of effects synergizing around Digibursting. So he goes into Lilamon, which, I mean, he's probably going to use Lilamon's effect, which is fine. I don't really care if anything dies here. It is a little bit unfortunate that I do have to sacrifice something to get that, you know, play my Tamer for free, but I was willing to make that trade. Maybe it wasn't the right decision, but that's what I thought of in the moment. And I'm going to swing with the Caramon as well, just to get an unidentified Digimon in the trash to proc Arata's effect the following turn. So I just Digivolve the Kurisarimon and play him for free from my hand. Passing turn to my opponent, he will start with 1, but as you'll see here, he will gain a memory after Digibursting the Weedmon there, suspending my Kurisarimon. Then he's just going to attack over with his Lilamon for 7,000, I believe is her DP, and he's just going to end things off by Digivolving into Grand Kuwagamon. That is the promo Grand Kuwagamon that lets you boost any Digimon on your side of the field with security attack +1. So now I'm going to start my turn, gain 1 memory, and then Digivolve into my Caramon. And as you can see here, I have pretty much the whole Diaboromon package here. I've got a champion, I can go Infamon next, I've even gone Armageddonmon in my hand. That's one of the beauties of this deck. I think it is very consistent because of all of the search your cards like Caramon, and you know, just being able to draw every time you Digivolve is pretty nice as well. So I'm just going to set up with the Infamon. I'm guaranteed at least 2 memory my next turn. So I don't really care what happens now. He can't touch my Infamon. The following turn, I'll just bring out a Diaboromon, spawn a token, and go to town from there. So he is going to use the Grand Kuwagamon's effect, detaching 2 materials, making it 13,000 because of the Yokomon, and it will check 2 security cards. So he's just going to take out a couple of my security cards. He might have Chaosmon in his hand, but it won't do him any good to go into it. Instead, he's just going to go into Rafflesiamon for 1. You can actually Digivolve Rafflesiamon on top of an existing green level 6, which is pretty cool for a 1 cost instead of a 3. And then we are going to see his turn end just by playing the Tentomon there, the Boba drinking Tentomon, and revealing the top card, which was a Lilamon, I think, and he's going to add it to his hand since it was a green Digimon. So then I'm going to start with 3 memory, the perfect amount I need to make my plays, and then I'm going to Digivolve the Diaboromon for 2 because of the Infamon. So I remembered it this time, and then after that I'm going to be able to spawn a token, draw a card, spawn another token, draw another card. So I've got 3 Digimon on field, 3 Diaboromons on turn. Now, if I had the Kurisarimon that gives them rush, that would be super crazy, but this is going to do it. Now, because I do have more Diaboromons on field, mine is currently at 13,000, so I'm able to swing over the Rafflesiamon. So this is why I think the Tsumemon that gives plus 2,000 is quite crazy. An extra draw there wouldn't have really done me much good. I think the DP, gaining is much more relevant in a lot of situations, especially because I did have Caramon already. I had other ways to draw. So then that's going to do it for my turn. I'm going to pass my turn. My opponent is going to bring out his Weedmon, but I've got 4 Digimon on field. There isn't much he could do aside from, like, going into a Digisorption target, and then maybe going like Hidden Potential, and then going into like a Nidhoggmon here would annihilate my field. I would actually be salty if you went Nidhogg here, but instead we're just going to see Rafflesiamon to pass the turn. So With that, I'm going to start with 2 memory and then gain 1 from my Arata there. And I'm going to hatch my Tsumamon. That is the one where if you are swinging and this Digimon's unidentified, you get to draw 1 card. So lots of draw power in this deck, making it super consistent. So then I'm just going to attack with my first Diaboromon, run into a Mimi Tachikawa there in security. So he's going to be able to play that for free, which is bad news for me. And he's just going to get even more crazy cards out of security. So he's going to get HBD. So I'm really like screwed next turn, but as if it couldn't get any worse, I'm going to run into a Feliciamon, so one of my Diaboromon tokens is going to die, which isn't like too big of a deal, but I do have Armageddonmon in my hand, so I'm going to play him for a 3 cost by deleting one of my tokens and swinging for 15,000, running into yet another Mimi. So my opponent's got double Mimi on field, he's got HPD in hand, so I gotta do something. He does have 0 security. You could argue I should have attacked the Tentomon there, but even with the 2 Mimi, like, he'll be able to get an extra Digimon on field, but he won't be able to game me unless he's like playing, like, I don't know, like Bushiagamon or something. But anyways, I'm going to just end my turn by playing Caramon and then adding 2 more cards to my hand, adding the Armageddonmon as well, and putting the rest at the bottom of my deck. So with 3 memory, my opponent could do some stuff here. He does have the Feliciamon to boost his Digimon by 2,000. She lets you boost your entire field, and then after that, one of your opponent's Digimon cannot attack for the remainder of, that turn, as well as the next turn. So it's really powerful. He's going to suspend Mimi since he does have a level 5 or higher green Digimon, bring out the Palmon from the breeding area, and then use Refleciamon's effect to Digiburst 2, and then everything on his field does gain 2,000 for the turn, and then because he activated that and discarded the Yokomon, the Refleciamon gains an extra 2,000, making it 15,000 DP, and then not only that, but then one of my Digimon cannot attack for the next turn. And then he also does have the Mimi as well, so he could just go Mimi again and, Digivolve, draw some more cards. He's going to go Weedmon instead, draw 1. He's going to go Blossomon for 0 with the Digisorption effect by suspending his own Tentomon just to set up. So we could see some really crazy plays here, right? Like I said, one Nidhoggmon and I'm dead. So this deck is still a little bit like fragile. It doesn't really have too much removal. It doesn't really have too much like defensive capabilities despite being a black deck. He is just going to crash with the Refleciamon because it was 15,000, and getting rid of my Armageddonmon. Oh, that also reminds me, even if he did go Chaosmon or Valderarm, he wouldn't have been able to use it because of the Armageddonmon there, because it does prevent all level 7 Digimon from activating their when Digivolving effects. So that's really, really powerful there. We are going to see a blocker Kabuterimon Digivolve. Unfortunately for him, his Tentomon is suspended, so if he Digivolved on top of there, he wouldn't be able to block, and he's just going to end things off by playing a Kabuterimon from hand. So I do have 4 Digimon on field. One of them shouldn't be able to attack. It doesn't really matter which one. So regardless of, even if he chose the Diaboromon, I will just delete it. Bring out the Armageddonmon. There's more than enough damage for a game here. So guys, that's going to be the game. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. Might do it again at some point, but who knows. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.